It was all set. A consensus had been reached. The Baltimore Ravens, were planning to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. But when he found out, he got word back to the Ravens that he preferred not to go to a place where he would be competing and backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to be in a place that he could play. And so when the Ravens got that message, they pivoted, went a different direction with the 141st overall.
It seemed settled. A consensus had been reached. The Baltimore Ravens were preparing to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round of the NFL draft with the 141st overall pick.
Rumors are flying that Shedeur Sanders could be on the move to the Cincinnati Bengals.
But before the card was turned in, word came back to the Ravens. Sanders had no interest in backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to play immediately, not sit behind a franchise quarterback who could very well remain in Baltimore for the next decade.
Does it make sense to you, Randy, for him to say, Lamar's there, he's going to be there for a decade, it's never a place I'm going to get a chance to play? Do you think it's a sensible choice?
Let me piggyback off of Teddy. You talk about Lamar Jackson's going to be probably retired with this organization. So if the backup does get in, he's in for garbage time. So I can see why Shedeur Sanders made that decision. I want to go compete for a job and get out there and play as a rookie.
Yeah.
When the Ravens heard that message, they pivoted, choosing another direction with their pick. And with that, the NFL media cycle was officially hijacked by a player who hasn't taken a single professional snap. Instead of the headlines focusing on games, playoff races, or quarterback injuries, the conversation shifted to Sanders.
I think this is insane, right? Like, if this is true, I think this is crazy. Right, at this point, you're in the 5th round. I understand you had higher hopes, but you've dropped to the 5th round, and you're thinking about being a starting quarterback the next year. I think this is incredibly short-sighted. Like, if you're in this situation, you want to go to an organization that is going to develop you.
Reports emerged, first from Adam Schefter, that Sanders made it clear during the draft process he did not want the Ravens to select him. His reasoning was simple. With Lamar Jackson entrenched as the starter, there would be no path to meaningful playing time. That single sentence ignited debate across the NFL landscape. Was it sensible for a young quarterback to protect his career trajectory? Or was it a sign of immaturity, arrogance, and short-sightedness? Analysts questioned whether Sanders was speaking out of turn before ever proving himself.
Playing with the Browns for briefly, you had a chance to be around Shedeur. So I'm just curious, like, what did you learn about him during that time period?
No, he's a great dude, definitely what the media, try to, it's always two different sides of the story or whatever. I don't even know, but like him as a dude, to meet him, cool cat, he's good. Like, he got his head on right, and then he got a bright future ahead of him, and I just wish nothing but the best.
Baltimore fans, meanwhile, were left frustrated. The Ravens had just demolished the Cleveland Browns in one of their most complete performances of the year, winning 41-7. Lamar Jackson dazzled. The defense smothered. Joe Flacco's much-hyped return to Baltimore ended in disaster. By all rights, the story should have been about a statement victory. Instead, all attention shifted to Sanders, a rookie who wasn't even in uniform. Even when backup quarterback Tyler Huntley was asked about him, offering praise and describing Sanders as a great dude with his head on straight, those words didn't make headlines. What did was the narrative. Sanders refused to back up Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow, the face of the Bengals and one of the league's brightest young stars, suffered a turf toe injury. The medical report was grim. Surgery required. At least 3 months on the sideline, possibly longer. At best, Burrow might return by mid-December. At worst, the season could be lost. Cincinnati named Jake Browning as the starter. But, once again, the name trending wasn't Browning. It wasn't another veteran free agent. It wasn't even about Burrow himself. It was Shedeur Sanders. Speculation exploded. Could the Bengals make a bold move to acquire Sanders? Would it make sense to trade for him, keeping the team's playoff hopes alive? From talk shows to online debates, Sanders became the center of attention once again. And when Cincinnati didn't immediately pursue him, a new theory emerged. Was the league colluding to keep Sanders from opportunities? Was he being deliberately shut out, even when the circumstances made perfect sense? A straightforward injury update had transformed into another Sanders-fueled controversy. This is the pattern. In Baltimore, Sanders overshadowed a dominant Ravens win. In Cincinnati, he became the hypothetical savior, before the Bengals had even played a game without Burrow. 2 different teams, 2 different storylines. The same result. Shedeur Sanders turned into the headline, while the actual football was pushed to the background. And here's the reality. Sanders hasn't thrown a single NFL pass. He hasn't stepped under center. Yet, he's being positioned as the focal point of debates that should have nothing to do with him. For some, this is proof of his star power, the inevitability of his rise. For others, it's evidence of media obsession, of a league hungry for controversy. Even Sanders himself has tried to downplay it. Asked about the reports, his response was measured. "I'm focused on the now. I don't really talk about the past. Whatever happened, happened. I'm focused on this game and moving forward." It was professional, poised, the perfect response. But that calm statement quickly vanished from headlines. What stuck was the controversy. Now, with Burrow sidelined and the Bengals entering uncharted territory, the cycle continues. Instead of breaking down whether Jake Browning can manage the offense or how Cincinnati's playoff chances shift, the conversation is dominated by hypotheticals about Sanders. Should the Bengals trade for him? If they don't, is the league holding him back? This isn't about football anymore. This is about a player who has become larger than the game before he's even played. Shedeur Sanders has crossed that threshold. Every storyline, whether it's Baltimore's biggest win of the season or Cincinnati's worst injury scare, somehow circles back to him. The NFL media machine has made him both scapegoat and savior, depending on what narrative drives the most engagement. In one breath, he's the arrogant rookie refusing to sit behind Lamar Jackson. In the next, he's the potential savior of a playoff contender. Too entitled or unfairly excluded. A future star or a media creation. That is the contradiction of the Shedeur Sanders narrative. And here's the chilling reality. If this is how loud the conversation is when he hasn't even played, what will it look like when he does? Because right now, the NFL's most polarizing figure isn't Lamar Jackson. It isn't Joe Burrow, it's Shedeur Sanders.
Story of the day, obviously. Joe Burrow has a turf toe injury that will require surgery. He will be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. Typically, this is a 12 to 14-week recovery period from an injury like that. That would mean that if it was best case, the soonest he could be ready, as much as he might push, would be December 15th, and it very well could be into the new year before he's ready again. Let's see if the Bengals and Jake Browning, their new quarterback, can keep them afloat until then. But Joe Burrow went down yesterday.